It's what some consider a true David versus Goliath, taking on the government to fight for the value of your land.
And a Virginia Beach man took his battle to a courtroom. 5 years ago, VDOT took Jim Ramsey's land to build an off-ramp from Interstate 264. Their original offer, $248,000. He thought it was worth more and turned it down. VDOT had the land appraised a second time, and the offer plummeted to $94,000. So why such a difference?
It's a question 10 on Your Side has been investigating for 2 months now, and we discovered Ramsey's property is just one of many around the state where VDOT is lowering those second appraisals.
10 on Your Side's Jason Marks shines some light on what landowners are calling a legal VDOT scam. Jason?
Nicole and Tom, we're seeing this tactic happen a lot more in the last couple years. On paper, only about 5% of property owners actually go to court. But when that happens, VDOT is getting a second appraisal, and it's not just coming back lower, it's coming back eye-poppingly lower. So we wanted to know, is this just VDOT's way of pushing property owners around?
Well, when we first moved here, it was like a little bit of country in the city.
Jim Ramsey and his wife moved into this home on London Bridge Road 40 years ago.
When we first moved here, we planned to stay here for the rest of our life.
Why not? The property has been in the family for more than a century. It was their slice of heaven.
It was basically just quiet all the time.
But that heaven has been sliced in half.
We had heard about an off-ramp, for several years before that, and then we received a letter in the mail saying that they had decided to put one on this, this property.
The letter from VDOT was delivered to the Ramseys in 2009. Almost an acre of the couple's property would be taken to make way for the new off-ramp. But the Ramseys refused VDOT's original offer of $248,000.
To start with, it was a low appraisal, and we figured our land was worth more than that.
By law, the transportation organization took the land anyway, and construction started shortly after.
Our property went over to that, to the last lane over there.
5 years later, the London Bridge exit is complete, and the Ramseys feel like they're stuck.
Well, I can't afford to move. What am I going to do with this? Who would buy this? Who would buy that house on an off-ramp? How would you advertise it? Would you say it's a beautiful home with its own off-ramp?
To make matters worse, the land once appraised at $248,000, VDOT says is only worth $94,000.
Unfortunately, under Virginia law, it is legal. It's immoral, but it's legal.
Attorney Jeremy Hopkins is representing the Ramseys. He says he's seeing more and more cases where VDOT is getting a lower second appraisal.
We're seeing VDOT threatening owners on the front end, that they'll tell owners in the negotiation process, if you don't take our number, we can go get a lower appraisal.
We took our questions to VDOT. We wanted to ask if the second appraisals were just a bully tactic to get owners to settle. We also wanted to know what would cause such a disparity in appraisals, and if VDOT felt as if it were using taxpayer money correctly. We called VDOT every day for almost the last 2 weeks. Finally, an hour before the story aired, we were able to speak with Richard Bennett, VDOT Director of Right-of-Way. He couldn't talk about specific cases. He could only tell us about how VDOT handles the land take process. But 10 on Your Side did our own digging, and here's what we found. A property owned by Christopher Farms Homeowners Association in Virginia Beach. First appraisal, $210,000. The second, only $17,000. In Prince William County, $214,000 the initial offer, reduced to $14,000. And then there's this one in Northern Virginia. $3.9 million VDOT said the land was originally worth, but then when the owner refused to settle, it was dropped to $2.1 million.
I don't like being pushed around.
Bill Davis lives on 90 acres of land off Horntown Road in Accomack County, land that has been in his family for 100 years. He recently got a letter from VDOT saying he would lose 3 acres as part of a road widening project that would help connect Route 13 to Wallops Island.
That's a very intimidating thing. When they offer a certain price and they say, well, if you contest it, we may do another appraisal and offer you less.
VDOT has already been staking its claim, but Davis isn't taking the offer.
If a private company had done that to me, I would told them, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
It's just, it's unbelievable.
And for Jim Ramsey,
it's like a bad dream.
It hasn't ended. Now, after 5 years, he'll finally have his day in court, and his fate lies with a jury who'll decide how much in the end his property is worth.
It is scary. We could win and we could also lose, but I'm willing to take that chance for myself and for everyone else that may have to ever deal with VDOT.
A couple of major points to add here. VDOT put the original offer, $248,000, into account for the Ramseys. They've taken and invested the money. If the jury comes back lower than that original offer, VDOT has already threatened Jim Ramsey that he could pay back the difference. Even more unfair from the Ramseys is that the fact that Virginia law won't allow VDOT's original appraisal to be introduced in court, so the jury will only hear that $94,000 number. 2 weeks we tried to talk with someone from VDOT. We ended up doing a 25-minute interview with Richard Bennett. I'm going to go back and sift through that interview, and we'll have much more from him coming up in the coming days. Jason Marks, 10 on your side.